so nice to be. This isn't really campus, but it's so nice. We're ghost dogs. We're Dr. Descartes. So thank you, Elaine, sir, for inviting us. Ben and I were in the same Master Garden class of 2022. He is much smarter than me. He actually has a PhD, so he will be doing the majority of the presentation. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to become a master gardener. Because the projects I've made, like with Ben, have just been the icing on a cake. It's an amazing program. It's when you go through your basic training, it's a little bit about it's like a crash horticulture course. One day a week, you dedicate the entire day. The morning is spent doing field work with the extension agents, and then you go home, or sometimes they have a potluck because Master Gardeners love lunch and food and snacks. And then you go home, and then you do a Zoom call, usually by someone on faculty at K-State. And it really is a lecture in horticulture on topics that are interesting to master gardeners. Maybe it's soil, maybe it's buds, maybe it's vegetables, but it really is an amazing program. It's very research and science-based. One of the people in our class is Coachy, I guess if I just finish up the 2025 class, I won't say her name, but she is a retired science professor here from Wichita State. And she said, Mary, I'm retired, am I too old? What do you think? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a scientist. This is exactly what master gardeners are about. It's about research, evidence-based techniques to give you the best results possible. Gardening in Kansas is a challenge. We all know this. So we need as much scientific research behind this as we can. When they teach us, one of the things they teach us in researching solutions for garden problems is in your Google search, put star.edu or something similar. We're at Wichita State, but yes, KSRE also works. K-State is one of our sponsors. And because AI doesn't always give you the most accurate
That's not
unfair.
No, it's not unfair. In fact, what I was going to talk about, let's just expand on that. As you know, with AI, and it's a buzzword because in one of the plants I was working in the late 80s, we were using what you would call AI back then around learning and applying things to actually control. And so AI is really nothing new, but people are using a lot of buzzwords. But as you all know from your work at Wichita State, what you put in affects what you get out. And when Mary says do asterisk.edu or you do site:/.edu, you will get research-based information from educational-based institutions. If you just do a search on the universe, you will get somebody's home remedies, other things like that. I mean, Victoria is a master gardener, School of Nursing. She probably shakes her boots when she hears about home remedies. But what Mary is saying is really true. And then the other thing is these apps for plant identification or also disease diagnosis. Right now, the best app is only about 75% accurate. And that's done with a research-based approach from a professor from Michigan State. The worst one is only about 25% accurate. So the apps, if you use a free one, it's probably money that's well spent. If you spend money, I'm not so sure. But it's a start, and then you can research and validate. But that's generally the scientific method most you people that have been associated with Wichita State know, is take it, validate it, and don't just take something from the internet. It's a great point, Mary, and I talk too much. Go ahead.
He really is smart than me. Things that I do with Master Gardeners, they love committees. Sorry, guys. But you do, after you go through your training, you choose where you would like to work. And they have all kinds of committees. They have committees on compost. They have committees on community outreach. They have committees on Speakers Bureau Committee, which Ben is a part of. They have a social media committee. I do the hospitality committee. And the reason is, I like to be hospitable, but I'm a bit of an introvert. So I chose a committee where I could easily meet people in a situation, and I didn't have to worry about, how am I going to get to meet others? And it was so nice because I have met so many nice people. The other committee I serve on is community outreach, and that's basically with kids. Ben serves with me. And we've done some amazing outreaches. Some of them at Botanica, butterfly garden, that type of thing. Some of them at McConnell Air Force Base, they had a fork to table. That was fork, okay, to table thing. We're talking about, eating local, farm to table kind of stuff, which was really fun. But there's something for everybody. I also serve on the garden tour. Last May, I spent 3 days on campus when we were blessed that the garden tour included the President's House. The Rays have just done amazing work at the garden around the President's House. And the other was Barton School of Business, the new School of Business over the bridge, and how they use sustainable gardening techniques and design that, which is just fascinating. So, thank you, Ben. What do you serve on besides community? I'm not even sure.
Okay. She does community booth outreach. One of the things she's really good at is artistic things. She had a failure because when we did the pollinator thing, you can make a friendship bracelet, and then also for the advanced part, you can teach the kids how to make rings, like a bee ring and stuff like that, or a butterfly ring. She and Linda Self both tried to teach me how to make the rings, and they didn't look like either a butterfly or a bumblebee. So. But,
Pipe Cleaner 101 later,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do community booth outreach with Mary, and I didn't sign up for that one originally, but I volunteered to do it, and I fell in love with it because you do kind of intense 5 minutes one-on-one with kids, and they are learning by doing things. And the reason we have the community booth outreach is we have specific booths that are kind of booths in a box. You set them up, you go take them out, and you do it. So we have like 7 or 8 of them now. We're working on another one, and it's on soil, not dirt, but soil. But it's really a great thing to do, so it's fun. I do hotline, and the reason I do it is I like to learn, because you get questions that you say, gee, I wish I'd asked that one. But there's a lot of them that you don't know the answers to, and you can look them up. I'm the hotline committee chair, and so one of the things that I have are hotline cards, and I would encourage you that if you have questions, give us a call. You can email us, and the cards have that, or you can walk in. There's nothing that's a dumb question. There's no dumb questions, as you know from your days teaching, because a lot of times somebody will ask something that seems like a dumb question, and once you understand that question, it's actually a very thoughtful observation that they may not have articulated well. I'm on the Arboretum Committee. Great grounds for the Arboretum. And I told you I would walk around. And there's a QR code. I brought a map of the Arboretum, and I'll talk about it in just a little bit. But the Extension office has a lot of demo gardens. And you can see all of them here. Victoria Mozak writes a demo garden blog, and it's a great read. I have a QR code for that in my presentation.
What's the code for that?
Pick up one of these. It's kind of the events and stuff like that. I teach safety at the Youth Lawn Mowing Committee, being a chemical engineer by training. Chemical plant safety is very important. I worked for the Econ before I worked for Coke, because Coke bought part of the business, and that's why I'm in Wichita. There's a tools and treasure sale, which my barn volunteers for to store goods. Victoria's on that committee, but it's a fundraiser. We put together an award-winning demonstration on how trees drink, breathe, and grow. It won a National Master Gardener Award, an International Master Gardener Award for best youth education thing, and it's given out every 2 years. There's 10 categories, and we won for youth education. And if you want to look at it, it was videoed for the Wichita School District, but there's an engineering expo, and so if you have an interest in going down there and looking at it, because I find it fascinating, because when I volunteered to go do that work, I wander around the booths because I'm a bit of art still. We have a spring garden fair. I'm not sure if the theme is going to be Let Us, which would be on vegetable gardening this year. But last year it was on water conservation, things like that. It's a great thing. So it's a great place to come and learn, because we have different booths set up, and also the different garden clubs have booths set up. And then we have our plant sale there, and you get a lot of really good plants, a lot of variety for very cheap. And then if you're interested in the garden tour, which is already set, which you volunteer for, I'm not on that committee, but I did both I volunteered here at WSU for both the gardens and the campus. I gave a talk before land Building Maintenance Association, and one of the questions I got was, what facility in Wichita is one of the best maintained? My answer was the WSU campus. And I didn't realize that one of the WSU grounds maintenance people was there, because I didn't see him. But, so WSU is fortunate because the team there does a great job. Okay. Okay. Yes, Victoria?
Just again, I know about hotline, and you in the library, I know, when people bring things in or questions to the hotline, I thoroughly, do you have a sample of that, a picture of that? So I don't really know that as part of presentation, but I know I forget to take a picture of the whole thing, not just the thing. It's problematic. You want to see the entire tree, not just the tree, part of the tree.
Yeah. Okay. Great point. So let me hit hotline when I go through. We're going to start into the presentation. We thought Victoria does library. She's chairman of the library committee. You and Don are tell me the exact title. for
Oh, wait, say,
the elected position.
oh, thank for agriculture, nutrition. On the extension.
On the extension council, because the way land grant universities and the extension in Kansas is set up is each county has to have an extension council. Victoria is serving on that, so she does a great job for us. Hey. All right, just this is kind of a boilerplate, and there's another one that's orange that we haven't gotten a copy of yet. But basically all it's saying is extension and the master gardeners, we're here to serve everyone. Doesn't matter who it is. And so y'all have that experience working at WSU. Okay, hotline. Like I said, I have learned more working hotline. I've learned how little I know about horticulture, things like that. Now, I was a tree nerd early on. I was in 4-H. I was in forestry and 4-H because I grew up in Mississippi where we have lots of trees, and it's not hard to grow trees like it is here in Kansas. But I love trees. But I've learned a lot of things that I learned when I was a kid were wrong. So, hotline, master gardeners, the extension agents have taught me a lot, so you learn a lot. But like Victoria said, when you want a plant or a bug, an insect, or something identified, you want to know what the disease is, what we always like to do is to get a picture of the complete tree, often within the context of your yard, so you get an idea of, is it from the west side of your house, the east side, south, north, what are the elements? Then you get a picture of the tree closer up. Then you get the disease part. And I'm using trees for plants, and the same thing can apply for bugs, or sometimes you may have something digging in your yard. So, you get all kinds of different things. Same thing goes for your lawn. And by the way, turf craft questions are very difficult. I struggle with those. Anyway, what you do, you take pictures closer up, and if it's a tree, you take a picture of the branch. What we'd like to do is you get a healthy one as well as a diseased one. And so you go ahead and do that. And then the other thing is if you have a history where you say, okay, I first started noticing this back in December. If it was December, it was probably before that really hard cold freeze we had in January, right? So that's going to tell us that something else is different. So that's why being able to help provide this, because Mary's contacted some people here around physician assistants and stuff like that and gotten help. Those physician assistants or nurses or whatever, you're getting patient history. What we're doing is getting the patient history so that we can help you. Okay, what we set up, and this is going to be kind of a random walk a little bit, and I apologize for that, but a lot of people have a lot of different interests, and so there's a ton of great resources that are available to you. I learned how to do QR codes this morning, so there are QR codes here. It wasn't that hard. So, K-State Garden Hour, it's the first Wednesday at noon of every month. The good news is it's recorded, and you can access all of them back to 2020. And there's some really good ones. I go back and listen to some of them, especially when there's a new subject I want to learn about. So it's a great way to do it. And it's one of the horticultural professionals in Kansas, whether it's a K-State professor, an extension agent. It's really good, and they'll also have a list of references with it as well. The other one is if you're a vegetable gardener, but also as you're preparing any garden, like if you want to put in a new flower bed, which my wife has forbidden me from doing. It talks about how to prepare the soil, and if you want to do raised beds or container gardening, it has sections in it. It's a great book. If you want to buy it, it's either 50 or 25. It's 50, but the PDF is free and you can download it. I have untyped, so I have it on my computer. But it's a great reference. It has a section on diseases. It has a section on pests. Then it goes through, what are the recommended varieties. And then it has a section on each individual vegetable. So if you want to grow carrots, it'll have a good discussion on what it is around. Okay, this is a great resource as well. It's the online version. And if you forget this or you don't have the QR code, just show it. Type in K-State horticultural resources site:/.edu, and this will come up. And it has all kinds of resources up there. And say that you have crabgrass problems. It'll talk about when to put out pre-emergence so that you don't have crabgrass near your lawns. If you have army worms, you can look there too. Okay. This is a great book. It's something we use in Hotline all the time. It lays it out where the tree and shrub problems in Kansas, and it'll talk about like an oak tree. What are the different problems for it? But one of the things that you have to remember, and it's one of the first things you should always look at, is 90% of the problems that you're going to see with your flowers, your vegetables, your trees, your shrubs, etc., they're going to be environmental problems. It goes back to what Mary said around the harsh environment that we live in here in Kansas. And I'm going to talk about that further. But environmental stress is a key problem that we have to deal with. And so when you look at a disease triangle, environment is one part of it, and it can impact a lot of it. The other one is the disease or pest, and then the host plant. Okay, talk about the harsh environment. One of the best sites that you will see across the country for drought resources has been put together by the Corps agents here in Sedgwick County. And this is a QR code here. And it has links to K-State publications for different things, like if you want to water your yard, it'll tell you when, etc. It's like water conservation, water tips, water measurement, and I'll talk about that in a second. I also put in, not everyone lives in Wichita, realize that there's a QR code here, but this site will also link to the Wichita watering restrictions. And so you know, odd number, even number, address the restrictions. The other thing that's new with this is the rebate program for drought, for managing the water restrictions has been expanded to pay for drought tolerant, which are basically warm season grasses for your lawn, and also drought tolerant plants. And I'll show. And so you get $100 rebate, and that's additional to the rain barrels that they had on there before. And it's first come, first serve on the rebates, and typically they'll run out of that. I think it's $125,000. But that expansion of the rebate program is new, and so I think the Wichita City Council has recognized, and I have to applaud them for doing this, that the drought conditions are going to be with us for a long time. And as Wichita grows, you have to manage it.
We got two Rick Breaker. And they're all Rick Breaker. Which is a great program. Thank you.
Okay. I put this reference was already in my presentation. This is a Sedgwick County one. Bob Nyer, who used to be the horticultural agent, Matthew McCurran, who used to be our horticultural agent, has been promoted up to a broader Kansas role. Put this together. This ties to that rebate program. If you put in a plant that's on this list, and this gives annuals, perennials, cover plants, shrubs, ornamental grasses, and trees, etc. If you put one of those in, it'll be eligible for a rebate. It has to be on this list. But I put it on because if you want to put in a plant that is hardy for this zone, it's what you should do.
Matthew Lee and West Park County Extension, he's been promoted up, but he does one of the local TV shows. He does Garmin with McCurran.
And we're still gonna get Garmin
It's
with
a McCurran, he tells me.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Another great resource is the Sedgwick County Extension website. On the horticultural side, it says Garden and Lawn Care. And you can see all these beautiful daylilies. That's one of the demonstration beds. And we'll talk more about what's here. So this is a fantastic resource. How many of you have been to the extension office? Great. I like to see that. There are a lot of people that will drop by and have their photos made, brides, graduates, family. It's amazing to see that. I mean, the pollinator garden is great. The vegetable demonstration garden, there's no telling what is being grown in that because they will try different things. And then one of the things that Victoria does is there are a bunch of pots along the demonstration garden, which is an annual flower trial. And so for seed companies and other local nurseries, etc., we're as part of the introduction of them, we're running a trial to see how these annuals will do in Kansas. And that's one of the things that she does. Okay. Extension office, I'm going to let you read it. There's no need for me to read it all. But it's basically a learning environment for the public. And so, like, Sedgwick County Zoo charges you a fee to go in. The extension grounds, we don't charge a fee, but it's yours, and you should treat it as, you know, something that's part of you. One of the biggest investments that you will make in your landscape is a tree. Of course, and I told you I was a tree nerd, so I'm biased. But, you know, it takes a lot to grow a tree here, and trees take forever to grow. What you want to do is to come out and look at a tree before you plant it when we plant a tree, or when a tree is planted in the arboretum, we water it the first year or two to establish the roots. Thereafter, the rain it gets is the rain that comes down from the sky. We will mulch it and protect it from getting damaged by lawn mowers and weed whackers and stuff like that. But basically, you see what a tree would do in your yard. And that seems, you can see that there's a lot of trees out there, a lot of different ones. Okay. If you want the QR code for this one, I didn't do it because I couldn't figure out how to get it on there. But these are all the demonstration gardens. And there's the Riparian Trail, which used to be an old cropland. And there was, long story, that we couldn't plant anything on it. And so it just kind of grew up, and it's got all kinds of trees and interesting things that are coming along. And then we started planting some natives in there. And so you can see native grasses and native flowers, etc. In this, we've got in here there's great plants of the Great Plains. There's a cactus garden, a shade garden, hosta garden, pollinator garden, rose garden. I'm on the rose committee. Until I joined the committee, it was only female, and so I don't know what you call it when you do have it. There's two men now, but I learned a lot about roses.
All of these Derby's trees, there are benches, but what would you say about it?
Yeah.
There. So if you want to get out in nature but don't want to walk a long distance or want to sit down and just enjoy nature, there's a bench that is about once every 20 feet. So it's really a pleasure to be out there.
Or if you are a walker, it's connected to Sedgwick County Park. And we've
That's
gone
right.
out and done Choral loop,
Yeah.
which is
A really fantastic.
Right. The demo garden blog. I put you up in print.
Thank you.
The thing that's nice about the Arboretum too is if you go online, there's a map of the Arboretum, and you can click, say that autumn blaze maple there, you liked it. If you click, you bring it up on your phone, and I'll show you the QR code. Or if you don't feel like going over to the Arboretum and you just want to do this from your home and you look around at the trees, we'll have a description of the tree, how tall does it get, what does the shape look like, etc. Plus there are pictures there that are taken of that tree throughout the seasons. So you'll get an idea of what it looks like in the spring. Does it have spring flowers? Does it have fall foliage? Is it one of these shrubs that has great limbs? Like a Siberian dogwood,
Like that.
Things like that. So what are the unique features of that? And that's the QR code for that. I'm probably boring you to death. The drought-tolerant trees, Jason Griffith, who down in Hayesville, the John C. Pear Center, he runs that. Of great guy, incredibly knowledgeable, and they've done a lot of great work. But this is a list of drought-tolerant trees, and it has pictures of these trees. And I think we have all of them in the Arboretum. But it's a great publication. Then another publication that's Preferred Trees. And these are all ones that have been tested and proven out. You have to be careful, and I messed up, and I did it after becoming a master gardener, because pin oaks do not grow well because they need acid soil. What kind of soil does Kansas have? Alkaline soil. And so you have to acidify it. And what happens when you have an acid-loving tree and an alkaline soil? It gets iron chlorosis and it'll die. So you have to treat the tree. So I don't know what I was doing, but that's why people make mistakes. Okay, those were favorite publications. And so I'm going to transition into talking about a little bit more. And Elaine, if I'm going too far or too long, you just throw it and I could stop any time because I can talk. Okay, first things around gardening, and hopefully you've learned this since you were my age. Make sure you have fun and enjoy what you're doing. And if you have something out there that's a pain, a plant, and you don't like it, rip it up. I mean, if something doesn't work, it doesn't work, but make sure you're having fun. Select healthy plants, and I'll talk about that. For around here, we're going to talk about the environment in just a second. Make sure you're water wise because we're going to be in drought conditions. I live on 40 acres and I have a pond. My pond is down about 3 feet. And going into this fall, it was full. It overflowed with the rains that we had had. So we're in a drought right now, even with that snow that we had. And then try something new. I mean, one of the things that's great about master gardeners is everyone loves different plants. And you can go in there and you can try different plants and get them for nothing almost. But try something new, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You just, next season you can replace it. Okay, since we're going to be coming up in the spring, I don't know how many of y'all go to the nurseries and get your annuals and maybe some perennials. When you go, do you take the little flat and take the plants and kind of turn them up and take the plant out and look at the roots? But you should.
Ready what?
Do you ever ask when is their next delivery of fresh plants from where their wholesale nursery is, or like some certain nurseries around here have their own greenhouses? The people that are watering those plants in these nurseries for minimum wage, or the big box stores, or some of them aren't trained to water them, and so you can get a lot of root rot and stuff like that. So, which plant do you think is going to do better? Yeah, this guy has great roots. This one, you can see it's hard to tell, but it's a little bit yellow. You really want white roots because they're healthy roots. You don't really want them to be super root bound, but if they are, you can always break them up. I try to take them out gently and stretch them out like this. Do that. How often when you go to the nursery do you go by the one, you have several flats there and you got ones that are really beautiful flowers on this and you have some that aren't flowered at all. Which one do you buy? The one without flowers? My wife would buy the one with the big flowers because you got that start. But what you do when you get them home, if you have to buy ones with flowers, you got to pinch them off. You get those roots established. The other thing when you start out is when you're planting plants or when you have your plants in there, one of the biggest enemies, and it's also part of being water wise, are weeds. And so competing for nutrients, competing for water, etc., you want to stay on top of your weeds. And if you're not big on weeding, which I'm not, mulch. It'll help keep it down. Also think through how close you want to plant some things together because the plants you want can help shade out the weeds. The other thing with weeds is when you establish a bed, if you get rid of the hard to kill perennial weeds, it's very important to do that first. I mean, it may take a year, but if you don't jump into establishing a bed, you may be better off in the long term. That way you can get rid of the weeds, add organic matter, get that soil in great shape, and then be ready to go. One of the keys behind water, healthy plants, etc., is measuring. How many of y'all measure what you water? Victoria, raise your hand. Hey. It's important to measure what you water because if you're watering and something doesn't need water, you're just wasting water. In fact, you may be contributing to disease. So one of the best gardening tools you can have is a screwdriver. And you can take it down and push it into the ground. And if it's really easy to go down, you don't need to water. But if you go down and you push and only an inch or two in there and it's hard, you need to water. And so 3 6-inch deep for lawns, flowers, and vegetables. 6 to 12-inch deep for trees and shrubs. Very simple. The other thing to do is if you use a sprinkler system, stuff like that, you can use a rain gauge. The other thing you can do is just simple cat food can, tuna can, some can with a straight edge. And just measure to see how much you're getting. And also, is it even? The other thing is, unless you live around the river where there's a lot of sandy soil, where I live, it's really clay soil. You need to if you're going to water your lawn or something, you have to do it for about 10 to 15 minutes. Go on to your next zone because otherwise it's just going to run off because clay only takes water for about 10 to 15 minutes and then it'll run off. Sandy soil is different. It'll go right down and through. How often do you see, water running off into the street? When do you water? Morning. Why is that? Pardon?
Dries up.
Yeah, it dries up so you don't get fungus. The other thing is with as windy as it is here, the wind is generally not as high first thing in the morning, and your temperatures are lower so you don't get evaporation. And typically, where do you want to water? Do you want to water the foliage?
No.
You want to water the ground, especially for tomatoes and things like that. I have a great presentation if you ever want to hear it. I have two presentations I've given on tomato pest and diseases. It's a very exciting subject. I was so depressed after preparing that. I didn't know if I could ever grow a tomato. Water-wise and natives, here's some resources for you. Dick Arboretum up here has some fantastic pages. And if you want to buy some plants, and you can go up there when they have their plant sale in the spring and the fall, great place to get natives. We're very fortunate to have Dick Arboretum near us.
Where is Dick Arboretum?
Newton? Yeah, it's associated with Heston College now.
She's a new seller with a debate. They do lots of headache folk there. You stop.
Yes. And then that one reference that I've had, that QR code earlier, this is one. And these are some of the ornamental grasses. Some of the native grasses that we have are really pretty. Indian grass is nice. Switchgrass is nice. Tall blue stem, little blue stem. You had fun. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about safety because I work, like I said, at a chemical company, and we had safety programs for home too, and there are things that my wife and I have had discussions on, like that she climbs up in a chair that I think is unsafe. We've had this for 45 years now. But when you do gardening, take your time. I mean, it's supposed to be enjoyable. Don't overdo it. Things will be there tomorrow. If you were a professional gardener, it'd be one thing, but it's your home yard. It's your home thing. I know you'd like to look like it what looks good, but just relax. It's supposed to be for your enjoyment. Protect yourself, your family, your neighbors, your pets, etc. My supervisor is here. Maggie the dog. She does a really good job because she has the right tool. She has portable shade. She has her water. If I'm out running the lawnmower, she's not out with me, so she does have hearing protection because she's inside the house. But, the other thing is like if you're mowing the grass or something like that, or you have some kids come by or somebody's mowing your grass, if they're not doing it right, if the yard's wet, they can slip. And when you slip, get under there, bad things happen. So it's just little bitty things like that. Sun protection. Some of us need more sun protection than we used to. Hair's getting a lot better. But just little things take your time. I'm going to stop after this, but it's a lot. We're going to experience this because, yesterday, wonderful. Today is going to be wonderful. We're going to get snow sometime again. You know it. Yep. When you look at this map, these two maps, you need them temperature January, July. We're as hot as Texas in the summer. Indiana, Ohio. So we're a blend between the hot south and the colder north. So we have extremes. And, we can, people can say that what zone are we? We're zone 7. We used to be 6A. Now we're zone 7, so we're warmer than we used to. But we have these extremes. So when you're buying plants, think through that. This one shocked me, but then it did. So the term hairdryer day always comes to mind. You get those hot temperatures and it'll do that. The other thing is during the cold, it'll dry things out as well. 11.5 miles an hour. Okay. Last year, great precipitation year. I had over 6 inches in one rainfall. Had another one that was over 4. Great rainfall year, over 30 inches, but in 2 events, a third of it. So, typically, here we are, Sedgwick County. Let's call it ballpark 32 inches. We're going to have droughts and stuff like that. And so be prepared that we're going to have droughts. Our falls have been a lot drier. So when you plant new trees or new perennials, etc., the first year or 2, while they're establishing their roots, you need to water during the fall and the winter about once a month to make sure that their roots are still wet. Drought cycles are still here, but within a year, we're going to have drought cycles. I was going to check and see what Cheney Lake level was. I didn't go look this morning. I forgot. Has anyone checked? Yeah, thank you. Okay. Last thing is, if you have a question about the last frost date, you can call us. But the average last frost date for Wichita, about April 12th. That's 55th week. It's 90. We need to push back into close to the 1st of May. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Questions? I did.
Well, I can scan it, but not very careful. Yeah, I can scan it. So if you want to access the information without like QR code, like we were so much right now.
Yeah. What I can do is I will send Elaine the presentation if you want me to.
Wait, that'd be great.
You set it down.
You can kick out. Or just go to the extension website and they have a pretty decent search.
Okay.
Yeah, and hit the little.
The other thing I could do is just put together, so you don't have to bomb through a bunch of slides, is I could just put list of topics with the QR codes on them too. I'd be happy to.
That's where we are. That's that.
Well, did you guys sign in back there at the thing? Did you sign in back at the thing that we go?
I published them out.
Yeah.
But
we're here. I mean, part of what we're supposed to do is to help educate, and so I was running an experiment this time where I was using QR codes with the exception of this, and this drought thing will help you get to you scan that QR code, it'll help get you to the extension website.
What?
Also, the K-State Garden Hour thing, there's some handouts here.
So last week's K-State Garden Hour was on, remember? No, it was on B.
So, yeah.
Then it says here, it was not.
Sorry.
The best thing for honeybees, for someone to do honeybees, is to have a friend of yours put their beehives on your place and let them give you 10% of the honey from it. Yes, ma'am.
I have a rose garden. Last fall, I wasn't able to take care of it properly. So I have branches 4 and 5 feet hot out these roses. What do I do about it this spring?
Okay. What I would prefer you do is to give a call. I work actually tomorrow morning. If you'll call the hotline, and I'll provide you more information. But what you want to do is to wait until here the last really heavy freeze, probably maybe early April, is to wait until then before you cut them back. But I would like to give you a better answer for that. Have you mulched around them?
Yeah,
Good.
and I'm wondering when to put my fertilizer.
Yeah, I would wait until probably early May.
I'm one of those that when I bring my rose bush home, I keep the rose in order to enjoy it. Should I be taking them off?
I was thinking more of annuals. Rose bushes, I would leave them on myself too, just because I like roses that much. Questions? Katie, back on this work, because this was an experiment on favorite publications and kind of taking up wandering journey.
The only suggestion I was going to do is, since you've got QR codes now, there's still one sheet handout that had all the QR codes on it, and stick it back, or we could do that.
Yeah.
You learn it.
That's a good suggestion, because just in truth in lending, I just learned how to do the QR codes this morning. So
But every time that adds that information in your code, unless you could say that, there you could bookmark, grab them,
Yeah.
or bookmark. Usually it's dark, bookmark. They hang up, they can give us.
yeah, I mean, a lot of these publications are PDFs, and the ones that I like, I will save them on my PDF.
Open that yet.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yes. Oh, good. He's still.